KTV. My girlfriend lost at Truth or Dare and had to play passing cards mouth to mouth with the person next to her. She didn't hesitate and kissed the cards through the paper with her male best friend Gregory Miller. But her peripheral vision kept watching me, carefully studying my expression. I remained calm and said nothing. A few more rounds passed. It was my turn to play mouth-to-mouth passing cards with one of the opposite sex people present. I didn't hesitate to choose her close friend Olivia Parker. During the game, a card accidentally fell, and Olivia Parker and I ended up kissing mouth-to-mouth. I clearly felt her mischievous tongue poke out. Bang! Sophia Taylor sprang to her feet, rushed over, and shoved me aside with such force that I staggered. Ethan Johnson. Her voice rose above the music in the room, her eyes cold as ice. I first touched the corner of my lip. That soft sensation hadn't faded yet. A fire pressed to my throat. I looked up at her. What are you crazy about? Crazy? Sophia Taylor pointed at me, then at Olivia Parker, who had just stood up, her face flushed with anger. You're my boyfriend. You kissed her. Kissed. I let out a laugh, but the amusement didn't reach my eyes. We were playing a game. Weren't you just playing this with Gregory Miller? But we were separated by playing cards. Sophia Taylor stamped her foot anxiously and forced out a retort. It's a different nature. I snorted coldly. How is it different? Wasn't it just that the cards accidentally fell? A trivial little thing, making an unnecessary fuss. You've ruined all my interest. I'm going out for a smoke. I tugged at my collar and turned to leave. The private room door closed behind me, cutting off the noise inside. I stood at the doorway without leaving, and less than a minute later Olivia Parker followed me out. Her cheeks were flushed wine red, her steps a bit unsteady, but she still hurried to catch up. She didn't say much, just looked at me, her eyes a little tight. My face was full of smiles as I took her hand and turned toward the bathroom. The restroom at the end of the hallway was quiet. After I went in and made sure no one was there, Olivia Parker naturally followed. The door clicked shut. By the time we came out again, the hallway clock had already advanced nearly an hour. I licked my lips. She had just drunk some fruit wine, and there was a sweet taste on the tip of her tongue. Olivia Parker smoothed her slightly rumpled collar. I lit a cigarette. We exchanged a smile and walked side by side toward the private room. The moment I pushed open the private room door, the ear-shattering music suddenly rushed in. Sophia Taylor was sprawled over the coffee table, clutching a beer bottle, tipping it upside down, and pouring hard into a glass. Sophie, drink less. Gregory Miller was beside her, anxiously rubbing his hands. He tried to grab the bottle, but was brusquely shrugged off. The back of his hand hit the corner of the table and went red. Sophia Taylor didn't lift her head. She picked up the overflowing cup and gulped it down. Her throat bobbed quickly and urgently. The liquor ran down her chin and soaked the front of her clothes. Clang! Sophia Taylor slammed the cup down on the table, then suddenly lifted her head and looked at me and Olivia Parker. Where did you go? Her voice was extremely hoarse, each word seeming squeezed out from between her teeth. I sat down on the sofa and smiled unconcernedly. Went out for a smoke, didn't I say so? Smoking takes an hour? Sophia Taylor took 2 steps forward, her fingers white from clenching into fists. I went out looking for you for half an hour, called you more than 10 times. Look at your phone. She slammed the lit screen down in front of me. The display was full of red missed call notifications. Is it necessary to hide when you smoke? Is it necessary to avoid answering calls? We're all out to have fun. Don't make trouble for no reason, I said, a little impatiently. Sophia Taylor, like a firecracker lit by that sentence, suddenly raised her voice. I'm making trouble? Ethan Johnson, be honest with yourself. Are you my boyfriend? What were you and Olivia doing outside just now? Don't you two think your relationship is a bit too close? Phew. I scoffed coldly. Of course, people with dirty minds see filth in everything. Olivia and I are purely innocent best friends. Olivia Parker happened to sit down beside me then. Hearing this, she immediately tugged my sleeve and gently smoothed things over. Ethan Johnson, don't say that. Sophie just cares about you too much. That's why she overthinks. She gave Sophia Taylor a comforting glance as she spoke, the wisps of hair at her temples falling down and making her look particularly gentle. Caring, I shrugged off her hand, my gaze fixed straight on Sophia Taylor. If she really cared, she should learn to be as sensible as you. Unlike some people who just keep nitpicking about trivial things all day long. Gregory Miller opened his mouth beside us as if he wanted to say something. I looked up and glared at him. His shoulders twitched almost imperceptibly, and he immediately lowered his head like a quail with its neck pinched. Forget it. I'm not interested in drinking this anymore. I tossed the coat that had been draped over the sofa onto my shoulders, and when my gaze turned to Olivia Parker, my tone unconsciously softened a few degrees. Olivia, you've had quite a bit to drink. I'll take you home. Olivia Parker twisted her fingers in her skirt, her gaze flicking between me and Sophia Taylor for half a second. Ethan Johnson. Sophia Taylor, like a cat with its tail stepped on, lunged forward, suddenly trying to grab my arm. If you're taking her back, what about me? I sidestepped her hand, tilted my chin in Gregory Miller's direction, and said casually, "Why don't you have your guy best friend take you?" Sophia Taylor suddenly froze mid-motion, her eyes shining remarkably, like a cat with its tail up, her voice rising by several octaves. "Ethan Johnson, you really are jealous of me and Gregory Miller. You're doing this just to make me mad, aren't you?" She leaned forward 2 steps, her nose almost touching my chest, her tone carrying a gleeful certainty. "As long as you apologize to me now, I promise I'll spend less time with Gregory Miller from now on." She said that without looking at Gregory Miller, whose face behind her had gone deathly pale. I couldn't be bothered to argue, turned and headed for the door, leaving her with one sentence. "This is ridiculous. If you can't stand it, break up." When I got in the car, I rolled down the window halfway. The night wind, carrying halos of neon, rushed in and blew the short strands of hair on my forehead wildly. Olivia Parker curled up in the back seat, her fingertips unconsciously tracing the fog on the window, her voice carrying a faint, drifting grievance. Great, now Sophie will probably cut me off. I gripped the steering wheel with one hand, the other reaching over, my fingertips tracing her thigh wrapped in black stockings, the silky sensation spreading across my pads. I said with a slightly cheeky smile, "If she cuts you off, don't you still have me as your girlfriend?" Shameless. Olivia Parker looked at me with a complicated expression, but she didn't swat my hand away. When the car stopped under her building, the streetlight's beam fell just across her face. Olivia Parker hesitated as she unbuckled her seatbelt, then suddenly leaned over. Her warm breath brushed my ear and her fingertips lightly grazed the back of my hand. "By the way," she said, her voice low and tangled like a ball of thread, "I'm getting engaged. Don't contact me anymore." Olivia Parker's words exploded in my ears like a thunderclap, leaving me dazed for a long time. By the time I came to my senses, she had already walked away. My eyes dimmed as I watched Olivia Parker step into the elevator. With a press of the gas pedal, the sports car's roar vanished into the night. That is how the story begins. Not all men like movie stars. I, for example, am very fond of wuxia and xinxia characters like Sung, Li Sheng, and Li Xiaoyao. So in my freshman year, I joined the Hanfu Club, and at the very first event, I noticed Sophia Taylor. She wore a moon-white Qixing Ruchuan and stood beneath the camphor tree. When the breeze lifted her skirt, it really did have a bit of that ancient, bright white robes, noble minister feel. Later, when we talked, I discovered that we were actually from the same city, both from Los Angeles. Fellow townspeople meeting fellow townspeople. Both of us were all teary-eyed. In this New York university, 1,000 miles from home, meeting someone who spoke the same dialect naturally felt especially close. On top of that, we were in the same club, so after a while we became familiar with each other. Sophia Taylor really was good-looking, almond-shaped eyes and an upturned nose, and she was great at doing traditional-style makeup. Whenever she wore Hanfu for club events, she always drew a lot of attention. In college life, the loneliness of being far from home would quietly spread at unexpected moments. I watched couples pairing off across campus and gradually found myself developing feelings for the girl who had shared countless hometown snacks with me and stayed up late discussing my Mien-kun skirts. But I didn't rush to confess. I've always believed that a confession should be a trumpet of victory, not the signal to charge. Until I'm sure she likes me back, speaking rashly would only mess things up. I began to deliberately and inadvertently get closer to her. I accompanied her to the fabric market to choose material for a Mamian skirt, studied the best lighting when taking her Hanfu portraits, and quietly handed her brown sugar ginger tea during her period. I even scoured the internet for guides on how to make a girl like you, trying to remember the preferences she mentioned in passing. Until that New Year's Eve, when the club held a lantern festival on the playground, she held a rabbit lantern and smiled at me, the light in her eyes brighter than the stars in the sky. I knew the time had come. Sophia Taylor. I stopped her as she turned to leave, my heart pounding like a drum. How about trying being my girlfriend? She paused, then her cheeks flushed, and the fingers gripping the lampstand tightened as she let out a soft mm. With no surprise at all, we became a couple. If the story could have continued that way, it should have been a sweet campus romance script. But after graduating and returning home to Los Angeles to work, I found that Sophia Taylor had an extra male best friend, Gregory Miller. Gregory Miller was Sophia Taylor's high school classmate, a man who spoke in a feminine way. The first time I saw him was when Sophia Taylor said she was going shopping with her best friend. At first, I didn't think much of it. When a girlfriend says close friend, naturally you think of a woman. But when I picked up Sophia Taylor for dinner that night, I saw a guy standing beside her and asked who he was. Sophia Taylor said without a care, "He's my close friend." It nearly made me furious. A wave of inexplicable nausea rose up my throat. I called him immediately, my voice a few degrees colder. "You have a male best friend?" Sophia Taylor had no idea anything was wrong. She sent a photo. "Look at our old group photo." On the screen appeared a high school photo of Sophia Taylor, with Gregory Miller standing between Sophia Taylor and another girl, wearing a pink hoodie and draping his arms over both their shoulders while flashing a peace sign. "Sophia Taylor, I can't accept you having a male best friend. From now on, keep your distance from him." I cut her off bluntly. Sophia Taylor's smile on her face faded. "Ethan Johnson, what do you mean? Are you suggesting Gregory Miller has feelings for me?" I said firmly, "Could I not know a man's little thoughts? And keeping a distance from the opposite sex is the most basic respect for your partner. Men don't necessarily understand women, but they certainly understand men. Don't call him effeminate. He could be gay, or even bisexual. Being a woman's male best friend. Isn't that just hoping to get some advantage? If a friendship with the opposite sex were truly just platonic, you'd naturally keep your distance once you knew the other person had a partner. There was no way he'd go shopping alone with Sophia Taylor. Besides, the fact that I could pursue Sophia Taylor does count a bit as the male best friend moving up. The difference was that I was single when I was friends with her. Sophia Taylor's voice rose a few degrees. "Ethan Johnson, you're so petty. I've known Gregory Miller for 7 years. If there was anything, it would have happened long ago. We're purely friends." What a load of crap about pure friendship. I was angry too, my voice unconsciously higher. If it were me, spending every day cozying up to a female best friend, would you be okay with that? "How is yours the same?" Sophia Taylor retorted, chin jutting out. "Gregory Miller." I cut her off directly. "How is he different? Could it be that he's a eunuch?" That argument finally ended in a Cold War. During the Cold War, I stared at the photos of her wearing hanfu on my phone countless times, lost in thought. After thinking about the years she and I'd spent together, I still decided to talk to her. I sent her a message. "Ask your male best friend to come meet." I picked a quiet private restaurant. My original intention was to lay my cards on the table, to formally face Sophia Taylor and make her choose. Either cut ties with Gregory Miller, or we're done. Sophia Taylor arrived late with Gregory Miller. After sitting down, she gave me a resentful glare, then proceeded to order with Gregory Miller, as if I weren't there. Seeing that, I no longer had any real expectations about Sophia Taylor choosing me. As soon as the dishes arrived, Gregory Miller pulled out his phone and started taking endless photos of the table, then leaned his head on Sophia Taylor's shoulder and continued taking selfies. Sophia Taylor said nothing, looking completely unfazed. I instantly flew into a rage. Damn it, I haven't even broken up with Sophia Taylor yet. What do those two think I am? Before Sophia Taylor could react, I stood up, grabbed Gregory Miller by the hair, and shoved his face hard into the Westlake beef soup in front of him, cursing as he pressed. "You effeminate bastard, leaning on someone else's girlfriend's shoulder, as if I'm supposed to die, huh? This isn't eat a peach and feel cozy. I'm treating you to a hot soup, feel the burn. Ethan Johnson, what are you doing?" Sophia Taylor screamed as she lunged over and pulled me. Gregory Miller struggled in the broth, letting out muffled sobs. I shrugged off Sophia Taylor's hand, my voice as cold as ice, leaving behind. "Let's break up, you bitch." Then I walked away without looking back. Breaking up was far more troublesome than I had imagined. That same night, Sophia Taylor called dozens of times, and when I answered, she screamed at me in a shrill voice, accusing me of humiliating her friend in public. They said I was too harsh, too petty. Listening to that twisted reasoning made me sick, so I hung up and blocked all her contacts. Unexpectedly, the next morning, before I was fully awake, a frantic knocking woke me with a headache. Through the peephole, I saw Sophia Taylor standing in the hallway, hair in disarray, eyes swollen like walnuts. Ethan Johnson opened the door. Her hand slammed against the door with a bang. Who are you to just call it quits? Did Gregory Miller offend you, or something? I opened the door, knuckles against the doorframe, sneering coldly. What? Sticking up for your best friend. She stepped forward, spittle almost flicking onto my face. I ask you, have you wanted to break up for a long time? Deliberately picking a fight with Gregory Miller. I stared at her reddened eyes, sounding like someone woken up angry. Think whatever you want. Just the thought of Gregory Miller clinging to her was enough to make me feel sick, let alone her nonchalant attitude at the time. A woman with no sense of boundaries. Even if I married her and brought her home, I'd be arguing about this kind of crap every day. She could humiliate me at any moment. So why would I make life miserable for myself? You bastard. You clearly asked me when I wanted to get married. We agreed we'd introduce our families over the new year. Sophia Taylor was so choked up she couldn't speak. She suddenly sank to the floor and began to cry. Her crying sounded particularly shrill in the empty hallway. I frowned, closed the door, and couldn't be bothered to look. I thought she'd leave once she'd cried enough, but I didn't expect this to be just the beginning. In the days that followed, my phone was bombarded in turns by various unknown numbers. She kept sending harassing texts accusing me of getting tired of her and looking for an excuse to break up. I suspect Gregory Miller put some kind of love potion in her drink. Otherwise, how could she be completely unaware that the problem lies with her? If I were truly sick of her, I wouldn't even let her know where I live. At first, I thought she'd calm down after a month or so of fussing. These days, the divorce rate is terrifyingly high. Who can't survive after a divorce? But a month later, her tactics only escalated. First, Gregory Miller sent a friend request from an unknown number, the verification message reading, "Sophie lost 5 pounds for you. How can you be so narrow-minded?" I accepted the verification outright, replied, "If you're so magnanimous, then go die and I'll get back together with her," and then blocked him. Next came a friend request from Sophia Taylor's close friend, the other girl in that photo, Olivia Parker. The verification message was written politely yet with righteous certainty. "Ethan Johnson, come out and meet us. Sophie has been crying every day lately." My finger hovered over the accept button for 2 seconds, but in the end I still swiped the page away. I thought that would be the end of it, when the phone immediately tore the silence with its ring. I picked up the call, and Olivia Parker's angry voice came through the receiver. "Ethan Johnson, what do you mean? I sent you a friend request, and you didn't accept it." Sophie has almost cried, her eyes swollen. "Do you have to be so hard-hearted? What happens between me and her is none of your business," I retorted. "How is it none of my business? I'm her close friend." Her voice suddenly rose. "You two dated for 3 years. Even if you break up, you should at least part on good terms. What exactly did she do wrong? Just because she took a photo with Gregory Miller? People with different values won't understand each other's thinking no matter how much you say, so I decisively hung up the phone. A few days later, Sophia Taylor caused another scene. I was in a department meeting when the front desk suddenly called. Her voice panicked, saying a woman downstairs was crying and making a scene in the lobby, specifically asking for me by name. The department manager frowned and told me to handle it first. As I hurried downstairs with my phone in hand, I could see Sophia Taylor from a distance, hair disheveled, arguing with the receptionist while a crowd gathered to take photos. "Ethan Johnson, you finally agreed to see me." She rushed over and threw herself at me. I was so angry I dragged her over to the flower bed outside the office building. "Say it. What do you actually want? Spell it out. Don't make a fool of yourself here." I was even scheming that, at worst, I could give her some breakup money. Consider it compensation for these past years I spent with her. But Sophia Taylor didn't take the hint at all. She just grabbed my arm and kept repeating, "I'm not breaking up." "Ethan Johnson, we're not breaking up? Okay. I'll stop seeing Gregory Miller. Isn't that enough?" Her fingernails dug into the flesh of my forearm, her voice trembling with sobs, her eyes showing a kind of obsessive madness. Her screaming made my temples throb. Anger rose up through my crown, but to keep my job, I decided to send her away first. "Fine." I pried her fingers apart, my voice as cold as ice. "I agree to get back together." Sophia Taylor froze, tears still clinging to her lashes, and ecstasy exploded in her eyes. "Really?" I said nothing. In front of her, I took out my phone, swiped to the blacklist, found her number, and tapped remove. "Can you leave now?" I slipped my phone back into my pocket. Don't interfere with my work here. She hurriedly nodded, then said with some lingering worry, and you mustn't block me again. Only after I promised did she leave, glancing back at every few steps. When I returned to the office, the department manager's face was blacker than a pot bottom. The people in the meeting room had long since dispersed. He slammed a stack of documents onto my desk. Ethan Johnson, are you here to work or to star in a primetime melodrama? The whole company knows someone from our department had their ex-girlfriend causing a scene at the building entrance. If there's a next time, you resign yourself. I kept my head down and listened to the reprimand, my fingers unconsciously rubbing the tabletop. My family is fairly well off. My parents run a rather sizable hotel. So when I took up Hanfu photography, I never skimped on spending, but after graduation, I never asked for money again. Although this marketing planner job is tiring, I was hired on my own merit, and it has good prospects, so I must cherish it. I won't do it again. I picked up the documents, my voice muffled. After work, I drove, while thinking about how to stop Sophia Taylor from pestering me, and at the same time, vent a little of the anger in my heart. Sitting on the bed, I looked out the window and opened Olivia Parker's friend request. Not long after it went through, her message popped up. Ethan Johnson, have you and Sophie made up? No. My fingers were tapping the screen rapidly. She caused a scene at the company today. I had no choice. I had to pretend to agree. Olivia Parker's input box showed typing for a long time before she sent a long message. The gist being that Sophia Taylor just cares about me too much, that there really can be platonic friendships between men and women, and that I should be more understanding. The same old line again. Birds of a feather flock together. I snorted at the screen, paused with my fingers, then, struck by a sudden idea, typed 2 lines and sent them. Pure friendship? Fine. I'll try being your male best friend too. If Sophia Taylor doesn't get jealous, then I'll believe your act and truly make up with her. After the send confirmation popped up, I leaned against the headboard and waited for Olivia Parker's reply. This move was a bit risky, but to deal with someone so clueless, you have to fight magic with magic. Waited almost half an hour. The phone screen finally lit up. Olivia Parker replied with only one word. Okay. I curled my lips to the screen. The streetlight's glow just fell into my eyes, reflecting a trace of calculating coldness. Step 1 of the plan succeeded. To be honest, when I was chasing Sophia Taylor, I put a lot of thought into how to flatter and placate girls. I also had some understanding of why women seek out male best friends. In modern society, when a woman's emotional needs aren't met in marriage or a romantic relationship, or when there's a communication barrier with her partner, she's prone to forming connections with other men. Therefore, male best friends naturally become an emotional anchor for them. But romance and marriage are essentially a process of both parties adjusting to each other. Many conflicts will arise during that time. A rational woman will work together with her partner to resolve them. Those spoiled little fairies, however, think it's all the man's fault. Once a conflict occurs, they naturally crave comfort from outside. As for why most male best friends are effeminate, it's because effeminate behavior is closer to that of women, making it easier for the little fairies to feel justified in clinging to a male best friend. I have a rough idea about the series of maneuvers Sophia Taylor carried out. In college, she and I were both living off our parents' allowances with hardly any pressure. So we naturally lived, however, made us happy, sticking together all day. So the idea of a male best friend didn't really exist. Now that we've graduated, she and I joined the workforce, and inevitably we spent less time together. It was exactly then that Gregory Miller appeared. When I didn't have time to be with her, she found a male best friend to take my place. If I hadn't decisively broken up with her, she would have taken it more and more for granted to hang out with that male best friend whenever I was busy. But because I decisively broke up with her, this male best friend Gregory Miller didn't meet her requirements for a replacement, or Gregory Miller was unwilling to be the rebound. So she began to harass me frantically, trying to win me back. I guarantee that if I really forgive her this time, she'll still be ambiguous with that male best friend. What I'm prepared to do now is to return the same treatment. Olivia Parker clearly does not belong to the rational type of woman. She is precisely the tool I'm using to completely get rid of Sophia Taylor. I began talking with Olivia Parker with intention. When I asked if she had a boyfriend, she said she had a childhood sweetheart. At first, she was reluctant to talk about him, but when I mentioned that we were now close friends, it was like a valve opened. Olivia Parker said her fiancé is always working overtime and complained that he always forgets to celebrate holidays with her, as if she had an endless stream of grievances. Maybe he's really busy. I pretended to comfort her, but my fingers typed something more flirtatious on the screen. But if it were me, no matter how busy I'd find time to check your messages. She sent a silent emoji in reply. I seemed to have truly put myself in Olivia Parker's best friend role, helping her brainstorm and suggesting she send a few flattering photos to her boyfriend. A few days later, she sent a photo of a newly bought dress. A black slip dress, the hem embroidered with lace, possessing a certain special charm. Does it look good? Suit to wear for me to see. I sent with a hint of testing. There was a long silence on the other end of the screen, so long that I thought she was going to block me. Then she sent a blushing emoji and added, "Free this weekend? Want to go shopping with you to pick out accessories." I laughed out loud at the message. Chatting with Olivia Parker gradually became a habit. After talking for a while, I'd tease. "If your fiancé knew I chat with you every day, wouldn't he be mad?" She sent over a dozen messages in a row, saying he wouldn't care about that his eyes are only on his work, and that even if he knew, he'd only blandly say, "Don't stay up too late." Every line and sentence was full of disappointment in the relationship, growing more agitated the more she wrote. I couldn't help but smirk a little. From Olivia Parker's description, I could roughly tell her boyfriend was the kind of honest, unfunny person. Although usually busy with work, he never skimped on holiday red envelopes of $5,200 or $13,140. That plain, unfunny demeanor in Olivia Parker's mouth had turned into evidence that he didn't care about her. I felt some sympathy for him, but that wouldn't stop me from getting closer to Olivia Parker. After all, if I wasn't there, wasn't that effeminate Gregory Miller? One day, she posted a photo of herself waiting for a taxi under a heavy rainstorm outside the company building. I sent a message saying, "Wait for me," and, without hesitation, went down to the front of her company. When the car stopped in front of my company's entrance, she was standing there with her arms folded, huddled under the entrance waiting for a ride, her hair and shirt both more than half soaked. Her perfect figure showed through, faintly visible. I hurriedly held the umbrella and ran over to her, thoughtfully handing her a towel. By the time I took her to the foot of her apartment building, the rain still showed no sign of stopping. I held the umbrella and went around to the passenger side to open the door, deliberately tilting most of the canopy toward her. My own shoulder was quickly soaked through. "Thanks so much for today." She stood at the apartment entrance, her eyelashes still dripping when she looked up at me. "No problem." I deliberately yawned loudly and wiped the rain from my face with my hand. I should hurry home and take a hot shower, or I'll probably catch a cold. Before I finished, she immediately replied, "Why don't you come up and take a hot shower? I have a dryer at home and can help you dry your clothes." I smirked inwardly, but my face showed a hesitant expression. "Isn't that a bit inconvenient?" "What's inconvenient about it? We're friends." She stepped aside to open the doorway, her tone brimming with an insistently warm welcome. "Come in quickly. Don't actually catch a cold." Her apartment was a typical small unit, decorated in a minimalist Scandinavian style. I took the clean towel she had found and walked into the bathroom, hearing the washing machine start outside. Hot water washed over my body. After showering, I tugged at the corner of my mouth in the mirror. The six-pack I worked on in college was still there. The definition wasn't flashy, but enough to stir someone's heart without meaning to. I deliberately wrapped only a towel around my waist and pushed the door open. Olivia Parker was squatting in the living room, folding the dried clothes. When she heard the noise and turned her head, her gaze immediately stuck to my upper body, and her cheeks went bright red in an instant. The clothes are pretty much dry." She hurriedly stood up, but the shirt in her hand accidentally fell to the floor. I bent down to pick it up as she reached at the same time. I pretended to stumble and tilted forward, taking her down onto the sofa with me. The soft fabric gave way, and the scent of her hair, mingled with the fresh fragrance of body wash, drifted into my nose. Olivia Parker's face was inches away, her breathing rapid like a startled fawn, her hand pressed against my chest as if to push me away. But her strength was as light as a feather. Now, I didn't give her time to react. I bent down and kissed her. Her lips were soft, carrying a hint of mint toothpaste coolness. At first, she did struggle a bit, tilting her head to the side and making small whimpering sounds in her throat. But when my tongue pried open her clenched teeth, that resistance suddenly went slack. I felt her fingers slowly curl, gripping the edge of my towel and trembling slightly. Test successful. My hand began to misbehave, sliding up along her waistline, passing through the soft cotton pajamas. When it touched that warm skin, her body stiffened noticeably, but she didn't push me away. The rain outside kept falling, the sound of it tapping the glass mixing with the increasingly heavy breaths inside, like an ambiguous piano piece. I don't know why, but after learning that Sophia Taylor had a male best friend, even touching her hand made me feel sick. Yet now, knowing full well that Olivia Parker has a boyfriend, I'm especially infatuated with her. 1 hour later, Olivia Parker sent her boyfriend a message, "Love you." 2 hours later, Olivia Parker sent her boyfriend a message, "Hubby, I really love you so much." Then she turned and slipped into my arms, whispering, "After today, can we just pretend this was a dream?" I said nothing, only held her tighter. After that, Olivia Parker ignored me for several days. So I had Sophia Taylor ask Olivia Parker out. Using the pretense that I already believed her and Gregory Miller were just friends, I had her invite both of her besties so we could all be properly introduced. Sophia Taylor was, of course, overjoyed. After the event ended, I intercepted Olivia Parker. I put my arm around her waist and said, "Are you really going to be this cruel and abandon me?" Olivia Parker bowed her head and said, "I'm treating my boyfriend so badly. Then at least leave me a keepsake, okay?" As it turned out, there was one, then two, then three, and three turned into countless times. The days passed neither quickly nor slowly for a year. I gradually became a regular at the gatherings of Sophia Taylor, Gregory Miller, and Olivia Parker. Sophia Taylor became a link between Olivia Parker and me. When we ate, Olivia Parker and I would secretly rub our legs together under the table. Olivia Parker enjoyed that feeling too. Probably frightened by the last time I pushed him into the soup, Gregory Miller at first always recoiled in my presence and hardly dared to speak. How can this be allowed? I took the initiative to apologize to him, saying that I had been impulsive last time and had misunderstood his relationship with Sophia Taylor. He gradually let go, first tentatively touching Sophia Taylor's hand. When he saw I didn't react, he slowly went back to putting his arm around her like before. My initial plan was clear. Pretend to make up with Sophia Taylor, secretly photograph those boundary-crossing moments between her and Gregory Miller, and use the photos to threaten her to stop bothering us. Otherwise, I'd take the pictures to her home and workplace and make a scene. An eye for an eye. As for Olivia Parker, I originally planned that once I got bored, I'd deliberately let Sophia Taylor find out about our relationship, causing the two best friends to fall out. Consider it the interest for Sophia Taylor pestering me and Olivia Parker urging me to reconcile. But as time went on, I actually found myself getting dizzy from the secret rendezvous with Olivia Parker. That secret kind of thrill was wrapped in an inexplicable attachment, and suddenly I didn't want to drag her into it. Besides, Olivia Parker saw that I never intended to marry Sophia Taylor and advised me to always leave a way out and not make things too ugly. So I went along and started giving her the cold shoulder. With Sophia Taylor, I remained neither hot nor cold. When she messaged me, I would either reply with a or oh, or just leave it unread. Occasionally, I acted a little close to her in front of Olivia Parker, but I never gave her a concrete handle to grab. I just waiting for the day she couldn't stand my indifference and would be the first to bring up breaking up. Unexpectedly, Olivia Parker suddenly said she was getting engaged to her childhood friend Felix Wright and told me not to contact her anymore. What surprised me even more was that less than half a month after she said she was getting engaged, her boyfriend Felix Wright came looking for me. He asked me to meet him at the cafe, and as soon as he sat down, he got straight to the point. "What is your relationship with Olivia?" I didn't know how much he'd found out. I hesitated before saying friends. His expression turned ugly. He took out his phone and opened a bunch of videos, all of them showing me taking Olivia Parker home late at night. "Why do you often take her home?" His voice was tinged with anger. I secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Thankfully, aside from the first rainy day when Olivia Parker feared running into acquaintances, she never let me into her door afterward. She didn't even let me walk her downstairs, and never did any kissing goodbye or the like. I calmly took out my phone and opened the photos and edited videos I'd saved earlier. They had originally been prepared as material to get back at Sophia Taylor, but unexpectedly they came in handy now. Most of the footage shows Gregory Miller and Sophia Taylor with their arms around each other, and a few clips show Gregory Miller trying to hold Olivia Parker's hand, placing his hand on Olivia Parker's waist, only for her to pull away. Ever since Olivia Parker and I got involved, she has indeed grown increasingly averse to Gregory Miller's closeness. Those clips involving Olivia Parker were originally the ones I intended to cut together to provoke Sophia Taylor. Compared to Olivia Parker, Sophia Taylor really has no sense of boundaries at all. I pieced together a story from the video, portraying myself as a pitiable guy who couldn't stand his girlfriend having a male best friend, wanted to break up, but was dragged back into a reconciliation at the office by Sophia Taylor. I said I was afraid of being cheated on, which is why I always went to gatherings with Sophia Taylor and Gregory Miller. As for giving Olivia Parker a ride home, it was because every time we met, I had to get angry with Sophia Taylor over Gregory Miller, and I did out of spite, and Olivia Parker agreed to let me drive her home simply because it's unsafe for a pretty girl to walk home alone at night. Felix Wright watched the video several times, asked me for Gregory Miller's contact information, and then left. A few days later, I received news from Sophia Taylor that Gregory Miller had been bagged. When I saw the message, I silently put Sophia Taylor back on the blacklist. Sophia Taylor pounded on the door while I was smoking by the windowsill. The moment she opened the door, the resentment in her eyes was about to spill out, which made me think of the light in her eyes when she smiled the first time we met, as if it were from another lifetime. "Do you want to break up with me again?" Her voice was trembling. I stepped aside to let her in, then turned and picked up a stack of photos from the coffee table. These things, you can look through them. In the photos, Gregory Miller had his arm around her waist, his eyes betraying unmistakable pride. Her face instantly drained to the color of paper. She reached out to snatch it, but I lifted my hand to block her. "Take one more step forward," I said, tapping the photo with the fingers holding my cigarette. "Tomorrow they'll appear on your parents' doorstep. I'd like to ask how they raised a daughter who keeps her boyfriend on the line while being ambiguous with her male best friend." Sophia Taylor's breath caught sharply, as if she were seeing me clearly for the first time. Those coldnesses she treated as playing hard to get, those silences she read as jealousy, at this moment all became ice shards driven into her. "You never once thought about getting back together?" Her voice was as light as a sigh. Ash fell into the ashtray. I grounded a little and said, "Spending this year acting with you was just to wait until these things piled up enough." She suddenly laughed. The laughter all shattered glass. "So, I only have two roads? Either keep clinging to you, and then you shove these out and ruin my reputation. Either get the hell out of here. I suggest you pick the second option." I stubbed out my cigarette. "If you really want to fight to the death, let's see who can afford to lose more." She stared at me for a full 3 minutes. The fire in her eyes slowly died down, until all that was left was ash-like exhaustion. When she turned, the breeze lifted her skirt, and she didn't look back. The instant the door shut, I suddenly remembered what Olivia Parker had said. "Everyone has their own quagmire. Don't drag others into sync with you." Maybe this tug of war should have ended long ago.